our pyramid of software engineer, senior software tech lead, it tapers really quickly. सूरज जब सबसे ज्यादा चमकता है ना, उसके बाद में वो डूबना चालू होता है. You are just a cog in a machine, no matter how small a company is, no matter how big a company is. But if you are like literally from here, if you're going below zero, that's a problem.
Hi guys, this is Shreyansh Goyal and welcome to my YouTube channel. So currently I'm working as a software engineer at Techion and आज हमारे साथ बहुत स्पेशल गेस्ट मौजूद है. वो none other than अर्पित भियानी है. उन्हें 10+ years of experience है and वो अन अकेडमी में काम कर रहे हैं. वो डायरेक्टर ऑफ इंजीनियरिंग है उधर. वो काफी टाइम से प्रमोशंस वगैरह देख रहे हैं एंड काफी टाइम से प्रमोशंस हैंडल कर रहे हैं. वो काफी लोगों को प्रमोट किए, डिमोट किए. तो आज हम उनसे बहुत चीजें जानने वाले हैं कि प्रमोशंस कैसे होता है, क्या क्या टेक्निक्स होता है प्रमोशंस का, क्या स्ट्रैटेजीज अपनानी चाहिए. तो चलिए शुरू करते हैं. हाय अर्पित, आप बताओगे कि प्रमोशंस वगैरह कैसे मिलता है, क्या क्या टेक्निक्स होता है प्रमोशंस का.
Hi Shreyansh, thanks so much for primarily inviting me. So promotions is a very sensitive topic because everyone wants them, but सबको नहीं मिलता, right? सबको चाहिए कि मुझे कल ही प्रमोट कर दे, हर हफ्ते प्रमोशन हो, but not possible. So promotions मिलता कैसे है? It's byproduct of two things. First, the amount of output that you have generated, and second is the outcome that you have generated. It's not just the hard work that you put in, but in which direction have you put your hard work in. तो उसके हिसाब से फिर तुम्हारा प्रमोशन डिसाइड होता है. इन मोस्ट केसेस यू वुड सी दैट देयर इज अ फिक्स टाइमलाइन कि 2 साल बाद प्रमोशन होगा, 3 साल बाद प्रमोशन होगा फ्रॉम अ लेवल टू अनदर लेवल, एंड इट प्योरली डिपेंड्स ऑन द लेवल दैट यू आर ऑपरेटिंग. बट टू बी रियली ऑनेस्ट, टाइम जो क्राइटेरिया होता है दैट इज द लीस्ट ऑफ देम. If someone has made huge impact, बहुत जल्दी प्रमोशन भी हो जाता है, and someone has not been able to make an impact, प्रमोशन होता ही नहीं है.
ओके, तो जैसे आपने ये बोला कि टाइम इज लीस्ट इम्पैक्ट, तो इसमें आप ये बताओगे कि टाइम जो मिलता है लाइक 2 years या 3 years जो डेडिकेटेड टाइम रहता है, मैंने देखा बहुत लोग 1 year में प्रमोट कर जाते हैं. लाइक उन लोग क्या क्या स्ट्रैटेजीज फॉलो करते हैं एंड हमें भी क्या क्या स्ट्रैटेजीज फॉलो करना चाहिए जो अर्ली प्रमोशन हो जाए हमारा.
So early promotion is a sign that you are in the right direction. Like everyone can put in hard work, but the one who puts the hard work in the right direction gets quick promotion. Like I've been very fortunate to have been in that situation where I got my first promotion after 8 months of like 8 months that I've been in the industry. मुझे promotion मिल गया था. So what happened was that the kind of work that I did, or if I'm also evaluating as a manager, even I gave someone a very quick promotion, very quick. Within 9-10 months, the person was promoted. The one thing that I typically see, or the one thing that managers typically see, is how easy can you make their life. It's not about कि तुम कितना अच्छे से उससे बात कर रहे हो या फिर क्या कर रहे हो. Like you have to be on your toes every time delivering impact. So काम करते हो, that is okay, but काम with impact is very important. Most engineers stop at output कि अरे मेरे को ये काम दिया था, मैंने काम कर दिया. Very few engineers go that extra mile and think of outcome कि मैंने ये काम किया है, इससे मुझे ये मिलेगा या इससे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन को ये फायदा होगा. If an engineer is continuously delivering outcomes, जल्दी प्रमोशन होता है. First. Second is intent कितना ज्यादा है. Like for example, I would love when one of my basically one of my direct reportees ping me at 5 p.m. on a Friday evening and say कि अरे मेरा काम हो गया, what next? Now this shows intent. This shows that that person wants to create an impact. This is the best feeling a manager would get कि अरे he or she is so dedicated that even on Friday evening 5 p.m. that person is pinging me saying कि मेरा काम हो गया है. If there is anything that you want me to pick because I still have an hour left, this is the intent that a manager looks out for. I did that throughout, because of which what happens is I'm always delivering something like that goes above a notch. तो उससे क्या होता है ना, it becomes no brainer for manager also कि अरे ये तो काम करता ही करता है. Now when you do that, your manager will start having trust on you. Once he or she has trust on you, you'll get good projects. Good projects, better output, best outcome, promotion. So it's just that going that extra mile that no one else does. People think, "Arey, ho gaya bas, Friday paale chill maro." The one who does that, it's definitely not bootlicking, जो लोग समझते हैं. It is not. It is you loving the work that you are doing and people, especially managers, want their teammates to be like that.
ओके तो जैसे आपने बोला इंटेंट तो बहुत जरूरी है, मैं भी देखता हूँ इंटेंट जरूरी है, बट आप ये बताओगे कि और भी क्या क्या जरूरी है, जैसे फीडबैक लेना क्या जरूरी है, आप ये सब पे बताओगे?
सो फीडबैक, अब यहाँ पे दो तरह के फीडबैक होते हैं, एक इम्प्लिसिट फीडबैक, दूसरा एक्सप्लिसिट फीडबैक। एक्सप्लिसिट फीडबैक मतलब जो तुम्हें मांगना पड़ रहा है लोगों से। दूसरा होता है इम्प्लिसिट फीडबैक, जिसमें कोई दूसरा ही तुम्हारे काम की तारीफ अपने आप कर देता है। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, यू वर इंटरफेसिंग विद सम अदर टीम ड्यू टू सम वर्क, कोई एक प्रोजेक्ट पे कोलैबोरेशन था, कोई काम करना था, एंड दैट अदर पर्सन हिमसेल्फ और हरसेल्फ खुद से स्लैक पे मैसेज डाल के एक ग्रुप चैट पे या फिर एक चैनल पे बोलता है कि हे अर्पित, हेल्प मी वेरी मच विद दिस थिंग, थैंक यू सो मच अर्पित। दैट इज एन इम्प्लिसिट फीडबैक, जो तुम्हें मांगने की जरूरत नहीं है, लोग खुद से तुम्हें दे रहे हैं। दूसरा, एंड दैट इज नॉट जस्ट अ टेस्टिमोनियल बट इवन अ फीडबैक कि इसने बहुत अच्छा काम किया है, दैट एड्स एज अ ब्राउनी पॉइंट। दूसरा होता है एक्सप्लिसिट फीडबैक मांगना, कि व्हेन यू नो दैट हे आई वांट सम फीडबैक दैट मैंने अच्छा किया कि नहीं किया। अब व्हेन यू आर डूइंग ओकेश और डिसेंट इनफ और अबव एवरेज, you typically can ask for an explicit feedback कि hey, we worked on this project or we collaborated on this project, give me a feedback, अच्छा लगा, बुरा लगा, what I can improve on, and that is the most important part, what I can improve on. Collect those and share it with your manager during your appraisals. That is extremely important. Implicit feedback में typically manager खुद involved होता है वो Slack channel and something पे. Explicit feedback you should definitely carry. In general, when you ask for your feedback, I have not done that specifically, but if you ask for feedback, people are very willing to give you a feedback. This shows a sign that they, like, you have a great bond with them. तो फिर वो typically ज्यादा बुराई करते नहीं ऐसे feedback में, but still a couple of points that they point out, you should definitely work on that. And in case promotion nahi ho raha hai and in the feedback you are seeing a pattern, work on it and improve, and then ask your manager ki are now it seems that I've worked on the shortcomings that I had and now I can be promoted.
ओके तो जैसे मैं आपकी जर्नी के बारे में बात करूं, जैसे आपने मेंशन किया कि 8 मंथ्स में आपका प्रमोशन हुआ, तो आपने क्या क्या स्ट्रैटेजीज फॉलो करी थी इस, और फीडबैक में एक और चीज मैं जानना चाहूंगा कि जो फीडबैक है, हमें बाई वीकली फीडबैक मांगना चाहिए या वीकली फीडबैक मांगना चाहिए, ये हाउ ऑफन मांगना चाहिए हमें ये फीडबैक?
नहीं, दैट्स डेस्परेशन। आई वुड नॉट डू दैट। बाई वीकली भी नहीं, वीकली भी नहीं, बिकॉज दैट डेस्परेशन। क्या करोगे 2 हफ्ते में जान के कि तुमने क्या किया? दैट इज जस्ट अबाउट ईगो बूस्टिंग। सामने वाला भी बोर हो जाएगा देते देते। वंस यू हैव कोलैबोरेटेड ऑन अ प्रोजेक्ट, बाद में मांगो ना कि भाई अब देना है तो दे दे भाई। मतलब आस्क वेरी पोलाइटली दैट हे, वी हैव वर्क टुगेदर, कोई फीडबैक होगा तो बता दो। बट इट अगेन डिपेंड्स ऑन हाउ kind of relationship, like what kind of relationship you have with that other person, and that is really important, because weekly feedback मांग के क्या ही कर लोगे? like कितना iteration, like you cannot do so much of self iteration कि तुम बस improve करने में लगे हो, काम रहेगा साइड में, तुम बाकी की चीजें पकड़ रहे हो, because they are, again, feedbacks are opinions of other person towards you, they may not be true. अगर सामने वाले ने बुरा लिख दिया, you will feel bad the whole week. क्यों करना है? Focus on the work. At the end, what matters to the organization is the outcome, is the impact that you are creating. Organization को बाकी किसी चीज से फर्क नहीं पड़ती, है? So work on that. Don't be desperate in seeking feedback, क्योंकि that's waste of time of yours. More importantly, theirs. वो एक लाइन पहले 2 लाइन लिखेगा, फिर एक लाइन लिखेगा, फिर 2 वर्ड डाल के बोलेगा good, full stop, done. So don't be desperate. Once you have completed a big milestone, then ask for a feedback if you are comfortable, otherwise would not recommend that. About how I got promoted, it's very simple. I just delivered, or rather I just over delivered everything. I worked really hard and I never sought promotion. The day that I got promoted, I was not expecting, I was expecting a hike of 7%. That is it. That's what I was expecting. I went there in the cabin, manager said, hey Arpit, congratulations, you are being promoted to senior software. And I was shocked. Like anything, like first time in my life I felt वो पैरों तले जमीन खिसक जाना. That was the feeling that I got, because I was never working towards promotion. So it was all of a sudden, hey, I did something amazing. So my manager listed down all the things that I worked on, all the things that I own, and that's when I realized that, hey, I worked on really good items. And now that happened because, number one, I was stretching. No matter what people say about hustle culture, I don't care. I work really hard for the organization that I'm part of. I want to make impact. Career is all I have. I have very strong affinity towards my job and my career and all. So I put in extra effort, extra mile, go that extra notch to make that extra impact. So that's how I got promoted, as simple as that.
ये बहुत अच्छा पॉइंट था, लाइक कि आपने जो बोला कि मैं प्रमोशन के बारे में नहीं सोच रहा था, एंड लाइक आई वेंट एक्स्ट्रा माइल जस्ट टू मेक एन इम्पैक्ट इन लाइक इन द कम्युनिटी एंड लाइक इन द जॉब. सो like that was an important point. Like we should not think about promotions like in early stage, and we should just think of what impact we are creating so that we can change lives of lot of people. तो ये बहुत अच्छा पॉइंट लगा. एंड लाइक मैं बोलूंगा कि बाकी लोग भी इस पे फोकस करें तो प्रमोशन ऑटोमेटिकली आ जाएगा. एंड मैं एक और क्वेश्चन पूछना चाहता हूँ, जैसे प्रमोशंस क्या एक राइट वे है जज करने के लिए कि हम क्या अच्छा कर रहे हैं वर्क में? अगर प्रमोशन नहीं मिलता है तो क्या हम सही डायरेक्शन में नहीं जा रहे हैं?
Most probably yes, because if you were moving in the correct direction, you would have been promoted. अगर प्रमोशन नहीं मिला है due to any reason, ask your manager कि क्यों प्रमोट नहीं किया है, what are the shortcomings. Because typically for a promotion to happen, let's say from L2 to L3 to L4 to something, from level A to level B, there is always a checklist. या तो वो डॉक्यूमेंटेड होगी या तो मैनेजर के दिमाग में होगी. इन ईदर केस यू शुड नो व्हाट दैट चेकलिस्ट इज, कि दिस इज व्हाट माय मैनेजर लुक्स when he or she is trying to promote from level A to level B, and see what points you don't meet and then work on that. If you are not getting promoted, and obviously यहाँ पे गलती कुछ कुछ managers की भी होती है, who are not communicating to their teams की what are the expectations for that person to get promoted. And this is the conversation that every manager should have. Like in what I always ensure, every single person in my team knows the checklist. It's typically 15 to 16 pointers checklist that he or she needs to complete in a minimum span of n years. Now n depends 2, 3, 4, 5. कितने इसमें वो करना है. If that checklist is completed pretty early, it's a sign that early promotion. As soon as the checklist is complete, the next promotion cycle, the person gets promoted. But not all managers can be as transparent about this. So that is where you as an employee has this responsibility of having that chat with the manager, asking what are the expectations. That's where having that conversation with your manager, having that transparency, having that trust really helps. But if you're showing the right intent, your manager would proactively initiate that conversation, asking ki, hey, ye 2-3 cheez kar le, I'm thinking of promoting. So irrespective, if you are focused on organization output and outcome, you're sure to get good hike, promotions and whatnot, right? But if you're not getting promoted, ask your manager about the checklist, about things that you missed out on and why you are not doing it. And it's not a bad sign. Not a bad sign. It's just about you need a realignment. You are distracted due to some reason. The bar was high. You did not meet it. But you need to know karna kya hai for you to get promoted. And you might not have to wait for an entire year, right? But that is where your dedication towards organization matters. Your intent matters. Implicit feedback by others matter.
राइटली सेड. एंड तो जैसे आपने ये सब पॉइंट्स बोला, तो लाइक जनरल प्रमोशन 2 years में अगर होता है, अगर टाइम स्पैन 2 years है एंड हमें प्रमोशन उससे पहले चाहिए, तो इसमें क्या क्या ध्यान रखना चाहिए?
सबसे पहले ऑर्गेनाइजेशन पॉलिसी. इफ आवर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन इज नॉट फ्लेक्सिबल, तो नो मैटर हाउ मच यू वर्क हार्ड, यू विल नेवर गेट प्रमोटेड. मतलब इन 1 year, राइट? तो सबसे पहले वो कि इज देयर अ पॉलिसी like this or not? Are you flexible in promoting early? Have a conversation with your manager. If yes, then you would put in those effort. Right? Obviously, I didn't know that was a policy, but I still got promoted. I got lucky, to be really honest. Right? I got promoted. तो क्या होता है that is one thing that you should definitely be aware of कि organization की policy है कि नहीं है. Right? And apart from that, having an open conversation with your manager about expectations, very important, very underrated, but extremely important to do. Now, here you asking for a promotion may sound desperate, may sound egoistic, but if you know that you have worked really hard, then it's your right to ask for it. But अगर तुम्हें पता है कि तुम एवरेज वर्क कर रहे थे, जितना जरूरी था उतना ही कर रहे थे, तो किस मुंह से जाओगे? सो वन ऑफ माई डायरेक्ट रिपोर्ट इज हक से आके पूछा. मतलब मेरे दिमाग में ऑलरेडी था प्रमोशन का, मैं तो पहले बातों बातों में बोल दिया था, बट बिकॉज ही वर्कड रियली हार्ड, इट वाज हिज राइट टू से कि हे अर्पित, प्रमोट कब कर रहे हो? And anyway, I already pitched this promotion. मेरा already वो open conversation होता है. And this is where you need to know organization policy number 1. Second, don't ask unless you know that you have worked really hard and created massive impact. If you know that you yourself have not met the bar, तो पूछ के बेइज्जती नहीं कराना, because वो negatives इसमें डालेगा, ठीक है, कि ये क्या है, क्यों मांग रहे हो, because then it put you in the flight risk, ये तो छोड़ के चले जाएगा, मैनेजर का ट्रस्ट लूज होता है, because manager is also a human. So that is where you need to first self judge and self assess कि इतना किया है क्या कि तुम सीनियर सॉफ्टवेयर जितना काम करते हो. Now how would you do it? टीम में कोई तो सीनियर होगा, देखो तुम और वो कितना काम करते हो. You can very easily put yourself and himself slash herself on a weighing scale and see कि किया है कि नहीं किया है. If you know कि किया है तो फिर जाके बात करो मैनेजर से कि I was thinking of an early promotion, I did this thing, but again it has to be data driven. It has to be impact driven. If you're just saying I just worked like a donkey continuously, गधे जैसा काम किया, कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता, because work is a scalar quantity. बहुत सारा काम कर दिया, but output is a scalar quantity. बहुत सारा output निकाला, but outcome is a vector quantity. In which direction have you created that output? Large magnitude, proper direction, impact, promotion. सिंपल.
ओके जैसे मैं आपका एक्सपीरियंस देखूं तो आपका एक्सपीरियंस 10 इयर्स का एक्सपीरियंस है एंड आपने काफी सारे प्रमोशंस किए हैं एंड जैसे डिमोट भी किए हैं, तो क्या क्या क्वालिटीज हैं जो कैंडिडेट को डिमोट करने पे मजबूर कर देती है?
तो डिमोट डायरेक्टली नहीं होता है, डिमोशन इनडायरेक्टली होता है, because you put a lot of pressure on an employee. Let's say if I hire a person at a tech lead level and if that person is not even performing like a software engineer, तो गलत है. Obviously it may be problem with the hiring itself, it can be problem with the attitude. Let's say interview में बहुत फोड़ा but अंदर आके पता चला it was all theoretical, तो problem है, right? So now here demotion is a big thing, a very big thing. So that is where you never see people getting demoted. You see people being put on a PIP, which is performance improvement plan, which is a way of telling you कि भाई you are not performing well. Here's your 3 months time. Do it well, otherwise you are fired. That's a polite way of telling कि भाई काम कर ले. And demotion is a big thing. That's why most company, earlier it used to happen. Now demotions are almost zero. The people keep stagnated to a particular level. That's what happens in the industry. And if they are performing very poorly, on the verge of getting demoted, they are being thrown under PIP. कि भाई you are hired at a certain level, you are not doing that much of work, so it's time that you raise your bar. So you are never pulling someone below, but you are pushing them up. So you are taking it in a positive way, right? So this is what is now happening in the industry. Performance improvement. You have heard Amazon has this policy of PIPs that manager has to put a few percent of people if they don't meet the bar under PIP. Same thing will now happen across the industry. I've seen it happen everywhere that I've worked, everywhere, because PIPs are part and parcel to maintain a higher bar. Otherwise people will chill out in the company. You don't want that, because one slacky person in the team puts everyone below. पूरा टीम का मोरल डाउन हो जाता है, बोलते कि ये काम नहीं कर रहा है फिर भी पैसा दे रहे तो हम क्यों करें. No manager wants that, no director wants that, no VP wants that. They want everyone to be very happy at work. One person who is spreading negativity in the team or is the center of negativity in the team, you have to plug that person out. No matter how rude it sounds, you have to do that for the betterment of the organization.
Okay. एंड मैं आपसे ये भी पूछना चाहता हूँ कि व्हाट आर द कॉमन मिस्टेक्स दैट पीपल एक्चुअली डू व्हेन दे आर एक्चुअली गोइंग ऑन द वर्ज ऑफ प्रमोशन?
अरे one very good thing that I just recalled. What typically happens is, if you know that you are getting promoted or you will be getting promoted, don't mess it up by some organization policy. For example, a big FANG company has this policy that you should not be messing up a production. Like I won't disclose the name or something, but you should not be messing up something. And if you do that, your promotion, if it's there in the process, it will be halt for one and a half years, something like that. One of my acquaintances was about to be promoted in next couple of months, and he affected the production. And as soon as he did that, it was organization policy, and he messed it up, because that was a big deal, big deal that he screwed it up. And although I like how cruel it sounds, that the thing that he missed out on or the thing that he broke was a very high impact, was an extremely high impact thing, which you cannot expect from a tech lead person. This raises a question. Are we promoting it well? That's why. So if senior management, if they are setting a very high bar, and if they have this part that, hey, like something, if a person is being promoted, that he or she should already be operating at that level, making a blunder like this is not acceptable. That's number one reason. And obviously, organization policy, you can't do much about it, because organization, when it's multi-million, or rather, sorry, multi-country, multinational organization, they have to have a very strong culture. That is one. Other, you become complacent. Most people become complacent. Arey, promotion to hone wala hai, they stop working. Problem, because then manager starts to doubt his or her decision. Never do that. If you do that, your manager can stop promotion if he or she is unhappy, or he or she now starts to thinking again, hey, am I making the right call or not? Although he committed that you would be promoted, no, not gonna happen. You may call it recency bias, but if this creeps in the second doubt, but if there are very strong points throughout your 1 year, 2 year span, then there is not a problem. Recency bias should not affect much. But if you are like literally from here, if you're going below zero, that's a problem. So don't be slacky, don't take things for granted. That's what happens when a person spends a lot of time in an organization, more than a year and a half, two, he or she thinks I'm indispensable, and that's where things starts to falter. Right before promotion, if you do that, manager having second thoughts, promotion gone. So yeah, these are a couple of reasons that I've seen people faltering because of that.
Okay, so is anyone replaceable? Like, so talking about it, like, can a good person also be replaced?
Yes. I am replaceable, you are replaceable, everyone in the world is replaceable. Someone who knows everything about a system is also replaceable. Like you can't, like an organization cannot be dependent on a single person. That would never happen. We thought a couple of people where I worked, like if these people go, how would the organization survive? But organization still survives because organization has to. Similarly, now if I leave a particular company after working there for 5 years, I would think, Arey, how would I am leaving now, organization cannot survive without me. No, organization is a separate entity. They know how to survive. You are just a cog in a machine, no matter how small a company is, no matter how big a company is. It really does not matter. Every single one is replaceable. Just the time for someone else to replace you could vary. If you have made a larger impact, it would take them years. If you have made a smaller impact, it would take them weeks to replace you. That's all changes. But everyone is replaceable. Everyone gets habituated for that person not being there anymore. So that's everyone's replaceable.
Like, I have seen actually a lot of people that have this attitude that they are not replaceable in the company because they have worked on multiple microservices or multiple ecosystems. So, like, that is actually not a good attitude. So,
Not
I
at
also
all.
convey that.
Humility. No matter how much of an impact have you created, you should be humble always. If you have built that attitude, gone. That's not gonna take your career ahead. Like you'll not be excelling. You'll become a narcissistic person. You'll think just about yourself that, hey, I am so great. I know this, I know that. No, no one knows a lot of stuff. No one does. And believing, see, confidence is one thing. Overconfidence is another. And these people are overconfident people. Oh my God, I'm just like, I'm next level. और वहीं पे डिमाइस चालू हो जाता है, वहीं पे डूबना चालू हो जाता है. सूरज जब सबसे ज्यादा चमकता है ना, उसके बाद में वो डूबना चालू होता है. करेक्ट. फिर दोपहर से शाम और शाम से रात हो जाती है. एंड दिस इज एग्जैक्टली दैट. व्हेन यू आर शाइनिंग सो ब्राइट अंडर योर ओन ग्लो कि अरे आई एम द बेस्ट, not gonna happen. Managers hate people. No matter how brilliant a person is, if that person is not humble, manager will throw him out of the team. Trust me on that. If that person is spreading itni si bhi negativity, the team manager, good manager will always kick that person out. Start a PIP and throw that person out. Like, and obviously PIP is a way for us to improve, like asking them to improve ki bhai humility leke aa, soch le, right? But if that person still doesn't budge, then basically cutting the thread or basically cutting the cord is the only way.
Okay, like I have also seen one example. Like, I would like to share one experience that people actually finish their task very early and they take a lot of time and they say that like they are actually working on it. So, like, is this a correct tendency and should this be followed?
You are asking a manager. What would I say? Nahin. Why is this not the case? So here there are two types of people. One who are doing job to just get their monthly paycheck so that they can enjoy everything else. So maybe engineering was not their passion. They are just looking at job just to get their monthly steady income. That's it. And these are the people who would have side hustles, photography, YouTube, something like that. Right? So they want that breathing space to do something else. Right? Be it gymming, photography, anything. There are few people who are very focused on their careers, who love engineering no matter what. And they would never be talking like this. Once the task is over, they would convey to their manager, they would get another thing picked up. And this would show the intent. And obviously, most people think, hey, my manager is a fool that cannot understand that I am overestimating, or rather, I am underestimating my, I'm overestimating my task. But your manager understands. Your manager is also a technical person. He or she would understand कि अरे ये task को 2 दिन नहीं लगने वाले, या ये task को 2 हफ्ते नहीं लगने वाले. तो वो थोड़ी ना पागल बैठा है, उसको भी पता है. तो if he or she realizes that you are continuously trying to make a fool out of him, सीधा good book से bad books पे आना चालू कर दोगे. And which is because वो पूरी टीम का मोरल डाउन करेगा ना. Because if other team member, just imagine if one of your team member is continuously watching videos on YouTube while you are working, वो कहीं जाके मैनेजर को कंप्लेंट कर देगा. टीम का कल्चर बिगड़ता है. No manager wants that. Every manager wants their team. It's not about just work. It should be healthy work. But if you see someone getting overburdened while other person watching YouTube videos sitting right across each other, क्या होगा? वो जाके मैनेजर को बोलेगा ये क्या कर रहा है. Right? You never want that to happen. So that is where if someone is doing it, obviously manager points that out कि भाई सही से estimate कर. And that's what the job of a manager is, to be honest, in sprint meetings and whatnot. Manager इसीलिए होता है because manager, a technical manager would know कि ये task को एक हफ्ता हद हो गया, उसके ऊपर तो नहीं लगने वाला. If that manager does not know, manager की गलती है. He or she should learn the domain first and then help in better estimating. Otherwise, in a big organization, you might also see a program manager or a project manager chipping in. But ideally, it's the job of a manager to oversee all of this.
Actually, this is an important point. Like, managers know, if you are also fooling them, managers know behind their back that this is not correct, and like you go in wrong books, so this is not advisable and you should not do this. Okay, so one more thing that I would like to ask is that is the expectation different from software engineer to senior software engineer, or is it different from like director level? So like I am asking that the bar of promotion, does it depend on the post where we are working, or it is actually not dependent on the post?
Very much dependent on the post. The level, people, no matter how much people say that titles don't matter, titles matter because they set the expectations that you have. For example, why do you think Google has plethora of L3s and L4s? Very few L5. Most people in Google, they stagnate at L5. Very few reach L6 level. Right? Because their promotion is dependent on their current level. Are they performing enough to be promoted from L5 to L6? Typically, software to senior software, unfortunately, people don't think much. Software to tech lead, people start to notice. Okay, if this person, that is why our pyramid of software engineer, senior software, tech lead, it tapers really quickly. It's not that like aaj your entire batch is software engineer, 2 saal baad everyone will be senior software. You'd feel 2 saal mein everyone is senior software, but then after 2 years you'll see only few getting promoted. और कुछ लोग 4 साल बाद प्रमोट हो रहे हैं या 5 साल बाद प्रमोट हो रहे हैं, कुछ लोग और 10 साल बाद प्रमोट हो रहे हैं. You would suddenly see, this is exactly like race. You would suddenly see कि अरे सब same भाग रहे, but you would see after some time that one of the racer is moving much faster than the other. And this is typically what happens. In the first 5 seconds, every racer would be at that exact same position. You would never know कि Usain Bolt है कि कौन है. But जैसे वो 100 मीटर वाले के पास आएंगे ना, you will realize कौन Usain Bolt और कौन नहीं है. This is exactly what happens in race and in corporate. It tapers so quickly that your promotion is dependent on the level that you are in, the expectations from the next level, the checklist that you would have to complete, and then do that. L2 to L3 or L3 to L4, software engineer to senior software does not matter that much, but software to tech lead much, very much rather. Tech lead to principal, tech lead to tech architect / principal engineer very much, principal to staff next level. So that's where you would see people getting infrequent promotions. पहले 2 साल में होता है, बाद में 3 साल में होगा, फिर 4 साल, फिर 10 साल. Amazon में SD2 का लेवल, SD2 पे you stay for 6-7 years. पहले 2 साल में मिल गया, 1.5 साल में मिल गया प्रमोशन. बाद में you stay in for 6 years to get to that SD3 level. SD3 से PE is again 6 years. You cannot, like, unless you perform exceedingly well, which is what I was talking about, impact and intent. You would have to be in the game you need time to make an impact of that level. So your promotion is your promotion is a function. Let me put it mathematically. Your promotion is a function of your current level and the impact and the potential impact that you can make. उसके हिसाब से भी promotion decide होता है.
Okay, and one more thing that I would like to ask is that people in startups and people in big companies, like people say that promotions happen like quickly in startups and promotions take time in big companies. Like, is it true? Do you agree? And why is it true?
Do you agree and why is it true? Nice, na? Okay, fine. So startups, a senior software engineer in startup does not mean SD2 at Amazon. Amazon has separate bar. Like a tech architect at a startup versus principal engineer at Amazon. You can't expect a tech architect at a startup equivalent to a principal engineer at Amazon. Very big difference. Very big difference. So every company has its, and typically it's not about startup versus this. Startup has to do it for a different reason. Big companies have leverage because people apply there. Startup seek people कि भाई आ जाओ हमारे पास. गूगल में का ऑफर आता है तो कोई रिजेक्ट नहीं करता है. Amazon का ऑफर बहुत कम लोग रिजेक्ट करते हैं, right? They have leverage, so they can set their bar, they can set their expectations very clearly. Startup has very blurry lines. किसी ने छोड़ने की धमकी दी, the person gets promoted. You have heard those cases as well, right? Someone has done bare minimum, still gets promoted because startup cannot afford attrition. Google को, Microsoft को, Amazon को फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. So they have very rigid bars, but you can be very assured that if someone is an SD3 at Amazon, मतलब वो बहुत तोड़ू इंसान है, उसने कुछ फोड़ा होगा तभी SD3 बना है. But someone who is a principal engineer at a startup, maybe an early stage startup, might not be that good. So because of a very rigid promotion bar at multinational companies, you would see them slowly growing, but their worth is not their designation, but the worth is the work that they have done, the impact they have created, the depth they have. वो उसका अलग ये होता है, उसका अलग impact होता है. Because now if someone is an L6 at Google, मतलब स्टाफ सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियर, वहां से अगर वो कहीं स्विच मारेगा तो वो Amazon का प्रिंसिपल इंजीनियर या उसके ऊपर के लेवल पे जा सकता है. Because such hiring bar is there. Staff software engineer, big deal. Staff software engineer at LinkedIn, big deal, right? But if you consider staff software engineer at a startup, हाँ ठीक है, किया होगा 4-5 साल निकाल दिए. Obviously आता होगा, I'm not at all denying that. But unless you evaluate them, you will not be sure. यहाँ पे you can be pretty much sure because their system over the years have matured, right? कि उतना बार होना चाहिए तो भी, क्योंकि they have committees and what not to ensure कि कोई प्रमोट हो रहा है ना, तो किया होगा तभी प्रमोट हो रहा है. स्टार्टअप में ऐसा कुछ नहीं था. स्टार्टअप में CEO CTO डिसीजन ले लेते कि इसको प्रमोट करो तो हो गया प्रमोशन. एंड व्हेन आई से स्टार्टअप, इट्स वेरी अर्ली स्टेज स्टार्टअप, सीरीज बी तक के समझ लो, विद 50-60 इंजीनियर्स, एट मैक्स 50 इंजीनियर्स पकड़ लो, राइट? देन इट्स अनऑर्गेनाइज्ड. बिग कंपनी इट्स very much organized, so you can very easily judge कि भाई किया है कि नहीं किया है. बहुत सारे लोग जज करने के लिए तो किया ही होगा उस तरह से. So you can have a very high probability that that person knows what he or she is doing versus equivalent position in a early stage startup. Obviously exceptions are always there. Exceptions are there in this side also and in this side also, but you just cannot but to just increase the probability, you would say कि थोड़ा तो किया ही होगा इसने उस तरह से. But again, not a line of rocks, but thinking about everything around it, explicitly judge करना जरूरी होता है. Early stage startups में भी there are very smart people working. बड़ी कंपनी में भी very stupid people are working, right? दोनों जगह दोनों तरह के लोग present होते हैं. So you need to judge it on your own कि कौन कैसा है.
Okay, like last question. If we are not promoted, then like people tend to look for another opportunity. So is this a good tendency? Like, what do you think about it?
Early stage, it's okay, but other companies not stupid ki matlab, like if you are getting in the other company and getting like you are going at an elevated level, let's say SD software engineer you could not get promoted, that's why you are making a switch. दो प्रॉब्लम है उस चीज से. पहली चीज, you are learning to run away from your shortcomings instead of facing it head on. You are thinking of running away from it, कहीं और जाके fresh start कर लेंगे. कब तक करोगे? कितने switches मार लोगे? right? Because frequent switches on your resume does not look good. It shows that you, like, if you don't get promoted at a certain company after few years, this is a very big negative on your resume. Why? Because this shows that you have not made significant impact staying in a company, versus you always chose to run to another company to get promoted, which means that एक company में रह के तुम impact create नहीं कर सकते. Very evident. I reject those resumes. I don't even spend a time talking to them because मेरे पास time नहीं होता. Think about a hiring manager who is reviewing hundreds of resumes every week. नहीं होता time देखने के लिए. So if I see a resume in which a person, I never see a single company का promotion, I'm very judgmental. क्या करे? Time नहीं है ना. देखना तो पड़ेगा. I have to make the best use of my time. A lot of managers think in this way. So that is where having a promotion while staying in an organization is a very big plus, because this shows that you stayed in the company, made an impact, so that your company realizes your potential and has given you a promotion. You are not someone who is just running away seeking promotion by making job switches. After some time, that becomes a negative.
Okay. And like, it was a great conversation. We covered almost a lot of things here, and I think this conversation was insightful. So thank you for taking out the time to talk to us.
Thanks a ton, Shreyansh. Thanks for having me. Great questions, by the way. Loved it. Loved it.
ओके, अगर आप लोग ने यहाँ तक वीडियो देख लिया तो ये वीडियो को लाइक कर दीजिए, और अगर अभी तक चैनल को सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया तो चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर दीजिए और बेल आइकन को भी दबा दीजिए. चलिए मिलते हैं नेक्स्ट वीडियो में. थैंक यू गाइस.